Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Connor Williams, joined by Owen Parks, and today we're going to be doing the match preview for the Everton-Brentford game. First of all, Owen, give me your thoughts. You feeling confident for it?
I think lately we've had a decent home record, and I think that always gives you confidence. I think if it was away from home, you'd be looking at it and thinking, although we got 4 points in the last week, I think Watford are not very good, and they've had a poor home record. And we only got a draw, so away from home is different to home. But at Goodison Park, I think the atmosphere lately has been very good, and I think we can carry that into the game. I don't see why we can't. Can't be competitive in it. That being said, Brentford have had a good season, a decent team, but a home game, I think you've always got to be confident at home because that's always, especially this season, but always as a sort of rule of thumb is where you get your most points, and I don't see that being any different anytime soon.
Well, you mentioned the atmosphere, and obviously we've seen that against Chelsea, and then we saw it on the road as well to Leicester and a little bit of Watford. Do you expect the same sort of atmosphere for this as we saw for Chelsea, same sort of scenes?
Yeah, I do. I think if this was in October next season, I doubt it. But right now, I think even because we're not safe and we've still got a lot to do, and if these home games don't go well, it probably will spell curtains for us, even though we've made some positive steps. I think there's a lot of known with these home games, and it's the final push, and we want it to be done by, well, hopefully Sunday night, but if not, Thursday night against Palace, because if we have to go to Arsenal and get anything, I'm not very confident we'll be able to do that. So, yes, I think the atmosphere will be good because I think people understand the significance of this game and the game of 39. I think the fans have done well to be very positive in tough circumstances this season. So I think it'll be a good atmosphere.
Hopefully, so I agree. I think the fans will be out in full force as they've shown. And like you said, it has been quite a tough season, so fair play to be able to get in high spirits, considering. You mentioned maybe done on Sunday. Obviously, I think it works out that if Brighton beat Leeds, we only need a point, I believe, is what I saw the other day on Twitter, because we've still got like 2 games and they've only got 1 after their game against Brighton. Does it fill you for confidence that at least like a point will do, at least if we can't beat Brentford, a point? Does that give you a bit more of a confidence boost?
I think we've got to go win. I think while it's in our hands, I think we can ignore the sort of noise of the other teams. I believe that's true, but I think we should go and win the game, and if we win it, I think we'll be okay anyway. But I don't think we can we can afford to be distracted by maybes. I think we know what we've got to do, and I think we should be more worried and focused on what Brentford can do than what Leeds can do at Brighton, because I think we deal with Brentford. I think it's going to be very difficult for Leeds to make that ground up anyway.
Yeah, to be fair, I agree. I think we've sort of shouldn't leave it for other people to sort out either, because I don't think we're going to get much, teams doing us favours type mentality or do us very well. Out of curiosity, do you think Brighton will beat Leeds at the weekend?
I'm not sure. I think they're in a good run of form at the moment. When they had a difficult run a few months ago, but they seem to recover from that and are doing quite well. But we know the strength of Leeds' atmosphere is just whether they can control themselves and use the sort of aggression wisely, as opposed to what we've been seeing the last couple of weeks, where they've gone just say over the top with maybe some tackles and that, which is fine, but it's let them down in terms of red cards and that. And I think that's something we've done really well the last month or so. We've cut the red cards out, and we're channeling our aggression much wisely.
No problem. Getting on to Brentford, we've played them, I believe, 3 times, once in 2010, in recent history anyway, and then once this season in the league, and then obviously in the FA Cup. In the league, lost 1-0 at Brentford, then we beat them 4-1 at Goodison Park in the FA Cup, and I believe that was Lampard's first game. give me your thoughts on how that on Brighton as a Brentford as a whole. Obviously, they had that little bit of a dip. There was one point where I thought maybe even we could catch them and they'd be in a lead situation. And then that sort of rejuvenation they've gone under now.
Well, first things first, it's always tough first season in the Premier League, so any kind of a run for a team like Brentford's always expected. But I think they've been fantastic. I think they're aggressive, well organised. I think they've got some quality players at the top end of the pitch, and I think as a unit they work very hard. And I think Thomas Frank deserves huge credit for how he's kept them in the league this season. I think the challenge will be next season because we've seen with Leeds and Sheffield United that you can have one good season and then the Premier League catches up on you pretty quickly. So if we're looking at their end of the market, that's why the likes of Bournemouth in the heyday, but the likes of Burnley and Crystal Palace have been so impressive because they've been able to keep going season after season after season, whereas like the Leeds and Sheffield United have only been able to do it for one season. So their challenge is to be more like Palace and Burnley rather than a Leeds or a Sheffield United where it's a flash in the pan. I think there's something a bit more sustainable about how they're doing it in terms of that it doesn't seem to be all on momentum. There seems to be a strategy to what they're doing, and I think for me definitely Thomas Frank's the manager of the season because if he keeps that team in the league who are so far behind everyone else in terms of resources, really. There's obviously a couple of exceptions at the bottom, but I think if you can see he's competing with Leicester, the resources are far behind them. So I think they're a good team, and I'm certainly not expecting an easy game from them because we're not seeing that in any game this season. I don't think they've been rolled over by anyone.
No, and they enjoyed quite a good win as well over Chelsea only a couple of weeks ago, which impressed a lot of people.
Yeah. I think they can win in many ways. I think you've seen them put together 15-minute spells in games where they've scored a few goals and took it away, but you've also seen them dig in and grind out when they've got to. I think they've got that strength, but they know plenty of different ways to win. They know how to win, I think, is the key, and I think it's going to be very difficult for us. I think if we get sucked into the game they want to play, then it's going to be a tough afternoon. But I think we can use our experience of the league, and I think what we've shown in the last couple of weeks to get one over them.
Well, like I said, the last time we played them was in September. Not September, sorry. It was in February of this year. We won 4-1. But it's still, this is a very different, I think it's fair to say this is a different Everton to them. That was Frank Lampard's first game in charge. And those first 12 compared to this, how many games he's played now. There's a difference in how we played then to now. Just give us your thoughts on how Frank Lampard's changed his system.
I didn't watch that. I didn't watch that original Brentford game, the 4-1, so I can't comment on that. But I think what we've seen is a huge change. I think it's fair to say that we were going backwards for the first 2 months, and we were only looking like getting relegated. But fair play to the fans for realising we can't accept this situation. We've got to step up, and fair play to the coaching staff and the players to pulling together a system that's seemingly more effective than what we've had before. And we've been very much a counter-attacking team and a team that defends a lot deeper for the past month or so. So it's good. It's going to be a different challenge against Brentford because they tend to concede the ball a lot more than Leicester, Chelsea, Man U, and who else? We've Liverpool. So it's going to be a different type of game, but you've got to compare it slightly to the Watford game because there isn't a world of difference between how the two teams set up. There's closest set up between them two than there is Leicester. So I think we've got to improve on how we dealt with Watford more than anything because we were quite weak and they're quite sort of blunt against them when we had the ball. So I think the next step for us to be able to improve how we play against teams who sit a lot deeper, and I think Brentford are a test of that.
And one thing that has to be said as well about Brentford that I think has been quite nice to see is Christian Eriksen. Obviously, when they signed him, a lot of people were saying it was a bit of obviously a gamble because of his heart problem. Was let go from Inter because of the rules in the Serie A regarding his heart problem. He's it's safe to say he's been enjoying it at Brentford and made quite an immediate impact.
Yeah, I made up for him. We were all sort of upset to see the scenes last summer in the Euros, and we were wondering whether we would see Christian Eriksen again playing football. I'm glad we are, and he's still proven to be what a fantastic player he is. And I just hope he gets better and better. And whether he's at Brentford or somewhere else next season, I'm sure he's got a lot to offer whoever he's at. And he'll certainly be a threat for us on Sunday because he's got so much quality. I think we've seen in the past. I think the 6-2, he was at Tottenham, he absolutely destroyed us. So we've got to hope that we can avoid that and wish him all the luck in the world after Sunday.
No problem. He is obviously one to watch out for. Are there any other players in this team that you're a little bit wary of that you think could cause us a few problems?
I think Ivan Toney's a handful. I think he put himself about quite well. But I think a lot of the strength in Brentford's through their sort of organisational skills in the defence. They don't give much away. I'm more thinking how can we counteract that. I think they've got a threat with Eriksen and Tony, but I think the likes of Janssen and Ajer and David Raya back and goal. I think there's a solid axis there that know each other and have worked each other for a number of years now. To say that we're not going to find it as easy to find spaces in their defence as we did on Leicester last Sunday, where we always knew there are a few passes and we were in on goal. I think it's going to be a lot more difficult. Hopefully it isn't, but I think it's going to be a different test.
Yeah, interestingly, Ivan Toney, when you look at their players for attacking, leads the way in goals. I think he's their second most assists as well. So we've got 17 goal contributions, but he's got he's the most chances created in that side. I think it's only, I've seen a couple of people say it on Twitter, so I guess I might as well ask it while we're on about them. If we were to sell Calvert-Lewin, do you think Ivan Toney would be a good replacement if it was even possible?
I'm not sure about that because if it were me and we could keep Dom and get him realigned to what we want to do and backfire, and I'll choose to keep Dominic Calvert-Lewin over Ivan Toney any day of the week. But if we have to sell Dom this summer, then so I'm sure you'd be an option. There's more strikers than just him. I think Eddie Nketiah, I think if we got him on a free transfer, I think that would be a good piece of business, whether Dom stays or not. But I do think he's a good striker and he'd do well for Everton. But I would if it were me and I had my choice, I'd rather keep Dominic Calvert-Lewin over Ivan Toney personally.
Yeah, I think ideally that it. To be fair, I don't see, other than Newcastle, the report coming out yesterday, I think it was. We have been speaking about Dominic Calvert-Lewin leaving, but a couple of us have said on the channel, I don't know why. For instance, he was linked with Arsenal a season ago. I don't know why anyone would really want him now, just because it's pretty obvious he's struggling. But we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. Do you expect him to play on Sunday, though, Dominic Calvert-Lewin? What's your expected lineup from Frank Lampard?
I think he'll go pretty similar to what he's played against Watford and Leicester. I think he'll go sort of Pickford, Mina, Holgate and Coleman as the back three. Iwobi, Michalenko. I think Allen will come in with Decore, and I think you'll see Anthony Gordon. I'd go Richarlison in Demarai Gray's position, and I would start Dominic Calvert-Lewin up front. But I think you'll see a similar sort of setup.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the setup. Obviously, there were points where it looked like we're using maybe a 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, and now we've gone to a 3/5 back, depending on what you want to call it. What are your thoughts on this sort of 5 back? I know some fans love it. Well, not love it, but some fans don't mind it and some fans hate it. I know Paul isn't exactly keen, who sometimes comes on the channel about the 3/5 back at Everton. What are your thoughts on this?
I don't know. I think it depends, to be honest, because if it were what I don't know, because it depends how you play it. I think when you've got Wobie as the wing back, I think he gives you a lot more than what Coleman or Kenny would. So you've got the overlap option and you've got the sort of outball a lot more. If Coleman was to play there, I don't think I would be that keen on it, because I think you're very sort of limited in terms of how many players you can commit, and you're a lot more stoic. And I like the 4-3-3 with Wobie in there, but I do think there are more gaps, and I think this 5-4-1 or 3-4-3 with the ball, I think it works fine, and I think it's helped us improve defensively in the last few games. So I'd keep it. I don't think I've criticised the manager since he's been here for when he changed formation every game. So I think it'd be slightly disingenuous of me to say now he should change formation when he's getting results and he's sticking with something. I think he should keep with the 3-4-3, and in the summer if he wants to play a different formation, then that's a different argument. But I think for now, I think he should keep with what we're doing, because I think the team are growing in familiarity with it. I think if we change it again, we could get beaten, and we don't want to just change something just for the sake of it because people think it's boring. I think if we win 1-0 and he plays 3-4-3 again, then it's worked.
Yeah, that's a very fair point, to be fair. Fabian Delph out injured, supposedly. And like you said, Alan's going to probably come back into the fold. How much of a loss is that? And following up from that, how have you been rating Fabian Delph's return to first team football at Everton?
I don't think it's a great loss myself. I think he doesn't do anything. He doesn't reinvent the game when he plays. He just keeps it simple, and he's got good experience. I don't see what he offers the team that Alan doesn't. Personally, I think Alan is 8 times the player Fabian Delph is myself. I just think Delph. I just don't think there's much difference in what he can do. People say we should give Delph this new contract, forgetting he's done precisely nothing for 2 years and wasted our time. I would be very happy to see him go, because I think he's been a bit of a joke, to be honest, but he has stepped in the last few weeks and done well. But apart from keeping it simple and organised, and he doesn't do what De Bruyne does, where we think, we have to keep him, we have to play him, and it's a massive loss. He just keeps it simple. He's not a player that I don't think I think he's very replaceable, and I think Alan can do what he does, but better, in my opinion.
I was going to say, ironically, he does the basics of football.
He does, but I think Alan does that, and I think he's a better footballer.
Yeah, I agree. And I was going to ask you about would you give him an extra year on his contract? And I'm quite glad you answered that. Pretty much the same as me. I don't think 4 games of being an okay, a solid 7 out of 10 makes up for 2 years of taking the mick.
But people are fickle and people are emotional, and they say everything, isn't this amazing and this, that, and the other, when he's been a part of a group with a lot of them that have absolutely been awful all season. So then they're all not just going to get a free pass because they've started to run around in April. I think a lot of them need to be handed moves away from the club this summer, and I think if Frank Lampard's got any chance of doing anything or ever, it'll be by moving a lot of these out.
Yeah, it reminds me of John Joe Kenny, obviously after his Leeds performance, and people saying extend his contract, and that quickly died out in the space of 3 games after that, I think, before it reverted back to John Joe Kenny's not going to get it because he's not very good.
If you've got an injury, a fullback, and you need someone to come on for 5 minutes until the end of the season, fine. But I would not be giving him a new deal when we've got Nathan Patterson and Seamus Coleman at the football club. Why would you have 3 right backs? It makes no sense, and he's the worst one out of the 3. So I hope he has a decent career in the EFL somewhere and shines that way. But his future's not at Everton, and I'll be very surprised if he's handed a new deal. Fabian Delph, I'll be surprised if he's handed one as well, to be honest. But stranger things have happened.
I agree. I've got this horrible feeling that John Joe Kenny might. Fabian Delph, I'm not convinced, but I've got this horrible feeling it's so Everton to offer John Joe Kenny one. Give me your thoughts. Obviously, we've got this, and then we've got Crystal Palace, and then we've got Arsenal. Like you said, you said before you don't really want us to do it, so it's on the last day because you don't think we'll get much from Arsenal. What do you think we'll do against Palace? Do you think we'll get? How many points do you think we'll get out the next 2 home games?
I think we're playing 2 decent teams, but I think they're 2 winnable teams as well. I think Palace, we might have a bit of joy in that because they've started to play out from the back and sort of play in front of teams. So I think we can get a lot of joy sort of picking them off on the break. So I think we'll win that one. I'm just a bit more worried about this one because I think they play a bit more awkwardly for us, but I think Palace got a lot of good players as well. I think if we took 4 points from it, happy days, we'd be safe. So I'm going to say 4 points.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you, do you think we'll survive?
Yeah, I think we will at this point, yeah. If we mess it up at this point, I think they should all be in the Hague and trials in the Hague for crimes against football if they manage to record at this point, but I don't think we will because I think there's 2 home games. If we had 2 away games and 1 home game, I'd be slightly worried because I wouldn't back up. I know we won at Leicester, but they're just foaming in at the moment, aren't they? I think we're playing 3 very competitive teams. I think different ways. Arsenal, but they've got a lot to play for, and Brentford and Palace are very professional teams. When I look at them, I don't think that there's a title at the standard slip. I think they've got players and they've got an ethos that works hard. So I don't think they're going to give us anything. It's not like I felt Man United we're just going through the motions, and I think Chelsea we're just completely off it, and Leicester were definitely on the beach. I think with these 2, I think they'll just give a bit more, and that's me worry.
Out of curiosity, who do you think is going to go down? Do you think it is Leeds?
I hope so. I'm not entirely sure. I think they lose to Brighton on Sunday. It's over for them for me. But I just don't see where they get the points from at this point. I hope it's Leeds, if I'm being honest, just for the fact that everyone thought they'd won the World Cup last season and it solved football with the reinventory style of football that's been binned after about 8 months of this season. But yeah, I nothing against Leeds, but I hope they go. Well, I do think it's going to be tight, but I think they will go because I just think they're just a bit rash and they're a bit frail. I think there's a lot of experience and there's a lot of know-how in that Burnley dressing room. With 3 games, they'll get 4 points, I think, from the 3 games, and that'll be them.
Sounds good. I'm also thinking it's probably going to be Leeds and sort of open. Just because I'm not that keen on them in all honesty. I like Marsh, but I'm not too keen on the Leeds fans as a whole. So
he's got a stroke of the Hasselhoffs about him. He's probably a decent coach, but he's just so weird. I just can't seem to back him that much because he's just a bit of a weirdo, to be honest. But yeah,
some of the interviews I've watched him in, I'm like, he is very. He almost seems a bit like, I don't know, fictional. He seems a bit odd at times. Some of the stuff.
I'm not sure about his game is there because him being a massive weirdo and a bit of a delusional sort of fool, isn't going to wash with a fan base who treated the previous manager like a god. And they're thinking, what the hell's happened there? Are we in some sort of own version of the Truman Show or something? It's like, that's why I think Mike Jackson's done pretty well at Burnley because he's not trying to take the limelight away from anything else. He's just trying to keep going what was happening for the previous 10 years and just trying to get try and get some life into it and get results. I don't think he's trying to make any friends with like Jesse Marshes and making a fool of himself. And to go down, he's made the right fool of himself there. Honestly, it's I saw someone say on Twitter that after they got beaten 4-0 to Man City, if Jesse Marsh was ever manager and was bouncing around the pitch, I'd want to meet him in the car park to sort him out. It is like I do find him a bit weird. I'm sure he's a good coach, but it's a bit weird for me.
He's very and I mean this in like the nicest way you can. He's very American. It's just the way he talks, the way he's.
I don't think he's Bob Bradley like, but I do think there's a bit of a weird sort of angle to him because Bob Bradley was just terrible and weird, but he's probably all right. But whether he's going to stay at Leeds or not, I don't know. I don't know why he took that job, and he ran out of Leipzig pretty quickly. So no, it's a big job for him. But if he stay up, I think they'll keep him. I think if they go down, I can imagine him trying to get somebody else. But I hope it's Leeds who go because one, their fans will be fuming, and be a nice end to a rather dour and depressing and just rancid season. And I honestly, I can't wait for the 23rd of May either way because I was 20 when the season started and I'm now 80. Well, I feel 80 because it's just giving me a new sort of kick every single week. But it's not only a week now, and just get 4 points and hopefully to go down.
Yeah, it's been one of the longest seasons, or feels like one of the longest seasons in memory. My last question for you is your score prediction.
I'm going 1-11. I think we'll get a goal early in the second half again, and I think we'll just see it out. I think it'll be very tight for an hour. I think we'll get it, or maybe off a set piece or a bit of magic from Richarlison or something. I'm going 1-0 and a good atmosphere at the end.
It's not bad. I think I'm probably going to go 2-1. I've just got this horrible feeling Tony's going to cause quite a bit of trouble. But hopefully we've got enough, and the home crowd should be able to spur.
Big game for us. It's a good opportunity to get the job done.
I agree. That is all we've got time for, though. I'd like to say, don't forget, guys, if you're watching it on YouTube, to comment down below your score predictions for the game. Like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. There's also a link in the description for the Toffee Blue shop. You can buy your Richarlison with the Pyro t-shirts and mugs. You can buy the Iwobi One Kenobi t-shirt and mugs as well. So go check them out. Owen, thank you for joining me, mate. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
No problems, mate.
No worries. And I'll see you guys very, very soon.